We've got J. Trig in back, Charminius, Sally Rogers, Iwonk, Prad, Philip G.R., Kathleen in front, Jodak in back, Rendell, Evelyn, Antdroid, JF, Thor Kenham, Westar, Minnesunda, and Eternal Seeker.
We didn't mind waiting for you.
We've got
Not at all.
Page, Layup, Squavi,
Cats are plotting to take over the world.
Terrafel,
I think they already have.
Synapse, Marcel,
The others, they're just so
Gibbs,
cute. You should not do what they
Loritz,
want.
Kiwi, Elizabeth Green, Shiny Joe, Rabbit, Loa Kenham, Potru, Caber, K-Woman, and behind Lawrence
I
is
don't
Scott
have
Miller.
any anymore, but I used to have one.
Tonight's story is brought to you in part by MistLore.com for some of the history, Wikipedia.org for some of the surface history, DPWR.net for the Denis dates, UruArchives.com for the surface history corresponding to the Denis dates, and the Cavernian Calendar Converter, which was written by Brett Middleton of the Fuzzy Physics Institute for converting between Denis and surface time. Tonight's story is from the game of Myst. As I've told these stories, we've learned about life in the cavern. We learned how the Denis came from their proud roots, seeking to shed their pride, yet pride crept back into their lives. We watched it cause the downfall of their great empire. After the fall, pride lived on. Though Anna, known throughout Denis as Tiana, did her best to raise her young son Gen to be a decent person, the fact remained that he blamed her for the fall of the empire, as well as for his father's death. The few short years he spent living and learning the ways of Denis writing, called Seltav, in the Guild of Books, was enough to plant the seed of pride within him. Fixated on that blame, he viewed his mother's meddling in Denis politics as the root cause of the fall. As such, his mind was closed to any instruction she might give him. Without any guidance, his pride, for what he believed the greatness of Denis to be, grew. We learned of Atris' early years spent with his grandmother Anna, as she taught him to grow up to be the man he became. We also learned of his teenage years spent with his father Gen. It took some time, but eventually Atris saw just how mad his father had become, drunk with the idea of power, of ruling over 1,000 ages as a god. We learned of his plans to save Katrin, whom he called Catherine, and the multiverse from his father's machinations. We learned how his grandmother Anna had met Catherine, and the two women made their own plans to not only rescue the multiverse, but Atris as well. After trapping Gen on Riven, we saw Atris and Catherine make a home for themselves on Anna's Age of Mist. After a few years, Achenar, then Cirrus was born, and Anna helped them raise their boys. Atris and Catherine kept writing ages, attempting to perfect their mastery of the art. Last week, we saw the death of Anna and the boys' descent into depravity, and an entire family trapped in ages with no escape. So, on the 29th day of the 9th month, in the Denis year of 9461, approximately March 15, 1806, 3 years after the U.S. bought Louisiana from France for $15 million and Ralph Waldo Emerson was born, Catherine, falling for the ruse set by her two sons, linked to her homeworld of Riven. Shortly after that, Atris linked to his room in Kvir, in Denis, which had become a prison during the time he was with Gen. And shortly after that, Achenar and Cyrus linked to Haven and Spire, respectively, and were trapped as well. The Denis year of 9462, 1806 A.D., was a very eventful year for Atrus's family. Starting on the second day of the second month, approximately May 29th, while searching for Atrus, which of course he wasn't there, it was her son's ruse, and trying to help her people, specifically the group of Rivanese that were fighting against Gen, who called themselves the Moiety, she was eventually captured by Gen and taken to Prison Island. On the 25th day of the 5th month, approximately October 14th, 1806, Cyrus discovered that he was trapped on the prison age of Spire. Shortly after that, we can only assume as there is no hard data supporting it, Achenar discovered that he was trapped in Haven. And so the son's plans for greed and domination completely backfired, trapping the entire family in their respective ages. By contrast, the surface year of 1806 had some rather notable events as well. On January 1st, the Kingdom of Bavaria was established by Napoleon. On January 8th, the explorers Lewis and Clark found the skeleton of a 105-foot-long blue whale. On January 30th, the original Lower Trenton Bridge, which spans the Delaware River between Morrisville, Pennsylvania, and Trenton, New Jersey, was opened. March 29th saw the authorization to construct the Great National Pike, better known as the Cumberland Road, becoming the first United States federal highway. On April 5th, Isaac Quintard patented apple cider. On June 5th, the Batavian Republic became the Kingdom of Holland. On August 6th, the Holy Roman Empire ended. It was neither holy, Roman, nor an empire. On September 23rd, Lewis and Clark returned to St. Louis from the Pacific Northwest. On October 9th, Prussia declared war on France. On October 27th, the French army entered Berlin. On November 15th, the explorer Zebulon Pike sighted Pikes Peak in Colorado, and on November 21st was the Decree of Berlin. Emperor Napoleon I banned all trade with England. Sometime between October and December of that year, a person whose identity has become lost to the annals of time, save to Atrus, was walking along the base of an extinct volcano in the desert of what we now call New Mexico. In the distance, this person spied a rectangular object resting in the dirt among the sparsely growing tufts of scrub brush. As they walked towards it, they were surprised as it was, of all things, a book. It was filled with a form of writing they had never seen before, the script being completely foreign to them. On the first page was a drawing, the likes of which they had never seen before, nor dreamt of it being even possible. The scene before them seemed to move. Was this some form of magic? Curiosity eventually overcame shock, and this person reached out their hand to touch this strangely glowing panel on the page, and was drawn into the page itself. Not knowing what this place was, This person soon recalled the single word on the front cover of the book: mist. This person, whom we've affectionately come to call the Stranger, explored this new island. Eventually, they wandered into the library and discovered the burned books, some of Atris's journals that had survived the fire, and the 2 books mounted on the wall. Eventually, the Stranger was able to piece together the mystery of what had happened. A man named Atris had 2 sons whom he suspected of having destroyed his, quote, ages, close quote. Apparently, his sons had used the 2 books on the walls, and Atris himself was trapped in some place called Dunny. We are not quite sure just how the Stranger was able to figure out the mystery, only that the mystery was eventually solved. We do know that the Stranger visited the 4 ages that Atris had successfully hidden from his sons, and used the information found there, in journals, etc., to figure out what had happened. Eventually, the linking book to Denis was found, and the Stranger, with the missing page from Atris's missed linking book, linked to Denis. Upon arriving there, the Stranger saw a man dressed in flowing robes, writing at a desk along one of the walls. He looked up briefly to acknowledge the newcomer's presence, then went back to writing in the large book before him. Looking around, the Stranger saw that there was no apparent exit to this room. Eventually, the man at the desk looked up and introduced himself as Atris, then explained his predicament. Fortunately, the Stranger had brought the missing page from Atris's missed linking book along. After thanking the person for coming to his rescue, Atris invited his new friend to explore Mist and its 4 remaining ages. Unfortunately, Atris was very busy with his writing and could not stop for long. When he would be ready, he would call for his friend to return. And so it was that on the 13th day of the 7th month, in the Denis year of 9462, December 12th, 1806, the Stranger finally met Atris of Denis. Atris invited his new friend to explore his age of rhyme as well, while they waited for Atris to finish. While there, the Stranger came across a note that had been penned by Catherine for Atris that read, quote, "It is real, the work of your hands, the touch of my dreams. I've left my dream for you. I am only yours, Catherine." Close quote. Please join us next week as the Stranger is asked to do one more thing for Atris. The end. And thank you all for coming tonight, and to those of you at home watching this video. And time to end the story right now.